Hello there, Big Benedict here. We're on Chapter 10, End of Days for Dead Me. Open this for a second. We're on Chapter 10 of 12. So, including this chapter, we have 3 chapters left. We're playing Dead Space on the PC on Impossible difficulty. And this is my guide for the aforementioned game and difficulty. We're only using the plasma cutter here. We have some suicides out here, I believe. They've taken all their lives. And now we are going to wreak havoc on this level. It's not a hard level, and this game isn't hard either. I'm really disappointed. I remember it being hard, but not only is it not impossible, but it's not even challenging. My biggest regret at this point in time, is I should have never upgraded the suit. I should have stuck with the basic suit. And I hate to sound arrogant about, that I'm good at something, but it's not even that I'm really good at it. It's just not that difficult of a game. So we're gonna have a monologue here, and then a killing. So after the butchering takes place, we're gonna go into this room here, and it has a nice checkpoint and a little jump scare. So once he stabs the guy in the brain, or the head, the forehead, you could actually just make your way to the door before the killing happens there. And we're gonna be coming back to this place eventually. So when you go into the door, you'll get a checkpoint. We're gonna go forward, and then once we turn the corner past the bar area here, you'll see and hear an exploder, and it's one of those things that's meant to be, terrifying, and you think that they're coming for you on this floor that you can't go very fast on. So there's some dividers, 2 dividers down there, and if I were you, I would just not even deal with them. There's 2 of them, and it's going to take you so many bullets to take care of them, and you're not really meant to kill them anyway. So you can grab a couple of these. What I like to do is grab 2 of the 3 boxes down there from up here, so that you don't have to go out of your way. There's the exploder. He's going to come out of there, and I'm not sure where he goes to, but we'll have to deal with exploders later on, but it's not going to be for a while. So grab all of the things up here, and to reach those boxes from up here, you might have to have the kinesis up to at least level 2. So we're going to grab this. And this is pretty terrifying. What you want to do is just freeze these guys, immobilize them with the stasis, and the scary thing is that it's well, watch out for this piece of shit too. He likes to hit you as you walk by him. It's meant to be, invoking that sense of you can't go very fast, and these enemies, they're pretty quick, and you're just gonna grab everything and leave. But if you stasis them, what can they do? So once you collect that, you want to head on up here. And the nice thing about getting all the items is that, it's going to be extra inventory for you to pad your inventory. And also, those dividers will always be down there. So I think this is the first time we're getting a dispatch here from Klein.
And I know you want to hear what I have to say.
So I'm sorry about having the subtitles not on. I always like to have subtitles on, but they keep turning off every time. Just like the way I have to keep deactivating VSync every time I start the game. I love this fight here. This would be a really hard fight to no damage, actually. We've got the Guardian at the end of the hall here, and we've got these guys. So if you go too far up, you're going to spawn the dark infected enemy. He's going to come out of the vent right by the Guardian, so you're going to have to deal with him to go to the door. So just spawn him and then reload, and then regenerate your stasis from the inventory from over here. And if you could switch shoulders, it would make this fight pretty simple, but you can't swap shoulders in this game, and obviously I haven't mentioned it yet, but there's no resetting of the camera, so that would be really helpful in this game, since there's so much space all around, and it's nice to be centered with something. Now in Dead Space 2 they did have something that would orient you to the horizontal plane, but I don't think it was centering the camera behind the character. I think it was just leveling the character's position on the horizontal field, since, as I mentioned, there's a lot of space to go and get lost in and wander around. So, a tough fight. But I was trying to do it no damage, and that would have definitely been something that gave me a run for my money if I was doing it no damage. But if I had started this project over again, I would have just simply not just kept the first suit that they give you, because that will ensure that you get killed in a few hits. Like, you still get killed quickly on this difficulty, but it would be nice to get killed in about 2 hits rather than like 3 or 4. But even 4, I don't think they give you 4 hits on this difficulty with this suit. I'm not sure. So when you come in here, is there anything? No, we're going to be coming into an identical room in a different location later, and there's going to be a bunch of stuff to deal with. And just get ready for it, because there's going to be a regenerator right on your feet chasing you the entire time. So collect everything from this bathroom, and then another thing, I would not have traded in the schematics for the worthless ammo, because it makes a bunch of clutter everywhere, and it's, you know. Okay, so this is the oh, this area here. Okay, there's the Tentacle. Died a few times on this guy. So every now and then they give you a chance to shoot him, but it's very wild controls here. It's hard to get in those hits. And things like this on Dead Space 2 were ridiculous. You know, the fear that it would imbibe within the player. Because I think any section like that should not have counted toward the death count. And I've rethought about it, and I really don't want to play Dead Space 2, so I'm not going to be covering that game. I'm sorry if that's disappointing for you to hear. But I've played it too much. Hell, I've played this game too much. That's why it's probably not challenging. But I just have a big problem when a game's not challenging me, because it's boring. We're also going to be coming into a room that looks like the one we just left too, on the other side. And I'm not going to be including the Z-ball, because it's very boring and it takes way too long. Basically all it is just throwing this enemy here, just one of them, as you come out of that room. These guys just take a hell of a lot of bullets to take down. But basically what Z-ball is it's a form of basketball, but all you do is you send back a projectile and you make it go through like 4 different holes on the wall, and I don't even think you have to participate. I think if you just stand there and let it time out, you get your prize every time. But when you come in here, we got a I don't know what that enemy's called. He's a projectile vomit spitter. Then you're gonna have the pregnant here. Then I think that's the second. Yeah, there's only one more enemy after this. He's on the ground to the right. He's playing dead. Okay, I actually like this room though. I like the whole frozen nature of it. So when we come in here, not too much to get over here, but we do have that other guy feigning death in the main hall that I mentioned, so we're going to take care of him. I have been upgrading the kinesis aspects, and what else? The oxygen, because frankly I don't have anything left, so I'm just upgrading whatever happen to have left. We will be going to a powered node door up ahead, but I didn't have a power node to use it, and it wasn't too much good stuff in it, to be honest. So I'll point it out when it comes. So you can either go to the left or you can go straight up here. But since I was familiar with how these enemies worked when I entered this door, I just kept going up here. These guys are pretty much of a nuisance because sometimes, a lot of the times for me anyway, when I stasis them, you know, you don't want to stasis them when they don't have their tentacles unfurled, because if you stasis them in that period, then you're waiting for them to do that in real time, and if you're amidst a whole bunch of enemies, then you're kind of reduced to just shooting them when they don't have any limbs. Then that it just takes. You can kill them. I mean, you can kill them that way, but it just takes like 2 to 3 times the amount of ammunition. So here's another one of these these darker skinned ones, and then we'll have a pregnant, I think a severed one. Interesting. Some of the enemies should come like this. More of them need to come like that. It's more interesting when they come. Not because it's easier because they're halfway dead, but just because it's more interesting that way. I've long thought that should be the way it works. Sort of the way in Ninja Gaiden 2, when some of the enemies were devoid of limbs. Like, imagine if you came up to a lot of those fights and enemies were already dripping blood. It would just be interesting. So here's another Twitcher. I did confirm. I did remember that correctly. It's a Twitcher. So just remember that after you kill that pregnant and the lurker, just turn around and you'll spawn that Twitcher. And now I'm just going to go back over here and refill my oxygen. And we're looking for, I think we're looking for a nav card. So there's this guy here to deal with. Another good tip about knowing if an enemy's dead, particularly if they haven't dropped an item. If they're grabbable, if you can grab them to you, obviously they're dead. When they're alive, you can't do that. It might seem kind of obvious, but it's just one of those little things that you might not be aware of, and it's just a good tell. So there's the card right here. I don't think it triggers any more enemies. Nope, everybody's cleared, I think, unless there's another one right up here. Yep. Okay. Just memorize it. Oh, the motherfucker, he leaped, didn't he? He strafed. Bitch strafed. And that should be the last one of those guys. But I did take a hit. Definitely took a hit right there. But I don't feel the need to start over every time. So we have the card. We've cleared everybody out. And for time saving reasons, a lot of the times too, I don't go everywhere even like this. I don't search everything, because what I'll do is I'll just go to the save point, and then when I'm not recording, oh yeah, this room I forgot about. There's a node and a box, some ammo. I think that you do get items too frequently in this game. It's nice that there's drops. It's wonderful. I mean, if there were no drops, this game would be really boring. But I don't know. What do you guys think? Is there two? I also had a question. Who prefers their plasma cutter horizontal or vertical? I think once you have it a certain way, it shouldn't keep switching back. It's really annoying. But I do definitely like it, at least at the beginning, horizontal. It has a function either way. I'm just saying I don't like to travel when it's vertical. It just bugs me. You guys might say, well, is there anything that doesn't fucking bug you? Maybe not. Jump scare right there, and then we're coming back. And do you remember earlier in the video when I said that exploder was teasing us? Well, this is what it is right here. I don't think it's very cheap either, because nothing is going to pin you in here. It's just this guy, possibly a Twitcher, or just more of these guys. So I have the plasma cutter upgraded all the way. Oh, these things. I have the plasma cutter all the way. I've never been able to one-shot the bomb that the exploders have. I think it's a two-shot type of a deal. But maybe I'm just not good at aiming. I don't know. You'd think that after, even I would get lucky once in a while and hit it on the first try, but I can't do it. I don't think it works like that. So I am sorry that I couldn't premiere the Z-Ball, but just a quick Google search will show you what it is, or YouTube search. So we're going to go to the left when we come back, but for now we have to go get another card. This room is not going to be affected until you come back. Okay, that scared me while I was watching it a little bit. So, you might notice that I put it vertically when I try to shoot the shoulder blades. Either way is fine, I just like to shoot it that way. Oh, this is a really tough fucking fight coming up here. So, we have to go to the area where you play Z-Ball, and I think there's 3 of these lurkers. And it's just hard because they're fast. There's like few of them over here. And it's just they're quick and they go all over the place in this area over here. Okay. So there might be a way, if you're trying to do this without taking any damage. I don't think the lurkers go through the vents the way the slashers do. I think if you came back into this room after stepping across the threshold, you would just have to keep coming into the room. They wouldn't follow you.
Entering 0 gravity.
Ah, this is difficult. So the first sign of hearing them, just start stasising them. That's the best thing. We're looking to kill people by and by. You know, we don't need a bunch of quick kills. There they come. Do they come out of those holes? It's pretty interesting. So that was very fortunate that I was able to stasis 2 of them at once. And then it's on to this guy. So we'll take... Look how many fucking hits that takes. Then just keep stasis. This actually worked out pretty well. But I would be hard-pressed to do this room no damage. But anyway, yeah, it's just 3. So, let's see, how many have we killed here? A couple of them? And, so how the Z-Ball briefly works is that once this fight is over with, you can go back to the main area, past the threshold of the door, and they're going to have 5 stages of this pseudo basketball game, and it's just not fun, in my opinion. All you do is you wait for the little energy ball to come out of one of the random circles, the colored circles on the wall, if I move the camera on it right there. And sometimes the little flaps will be over the circle so you can't put it on, put the ball through the hole. And the only enhancement that it has is that it will have you, if you want to, you can jump to one of the random pads in this arena here. I'm not sure what I was doing right there. You could jump to one of the random pads. See the little pads on the platforms there? You can jump onto there to one of the flashing ones that lights up randomly for you, and it acts as a multiplier. You might see it right there on the screen up there. It says multiplier.
Starting game.
But I just left, and then each time you do a what do they call them? Stages or levels, or I'm not sure. Whatever the next one is, you leave the area, and in the little locker room, in one of the lockers, they'll have a prize that you can open. And I don't even think it's performance related. It has a certain threshold that it wants you to aspire to. but I was getting less than say you need like 20. Just say for example you need 20 points. I was getting less. Well, fewer would be the proper word to say. I was getting fewer because you can count the points. There's 3 of these in here, by the way, all in the same spots. So just use the cover to your advantage over here. This isn't a cover-based shooter, although it tried to be in the 3rd game. It even gave you a roll or some kind of it wasn't a dash, it was a roll. But it's definitely not the shooting gallery that the first little mini game was. Anyway, so a couple of items to get down here, and then up here is a node room door for which I don't have a power node. But you can come back in here once you do acquire a node and get it. But you're going to have to deal with a Regenerator who's running around. But there is a hard fight coming back. But it's not hard to win it. It's just I'm trying to do things no damage now. That's what I'm trying to do. And if this were earlier in the game, if I had only got to about like chapter 2 or 3, I would restart and just use the first suit. And I'm glad that they don't regenerate your stasis in this game, because it actually does challenge you to conserve it, and then when you don't have it, it's more difficult. And then it's not a cheap thing to buy, which is nice too, as far as a challenge parameter. So you don't have to worry about anything now. I don't think that you can, the way that we just came, I don't think you can open the entrance until you come back. They're designed in such a way that it's going to have you move those closet type of things while you're being chased. But it's a simple scenario here. The guy's going to jump out right over here, or further up wherever you. I just like to stay over here to have him stay back as far as possible. And I would not shoot off more than one leg when you're dealing with this guy, because I think he regrows the legs simultaneously. So when you come up here, the vent's going to crash up and this guy's coming down. I do like the way that this game, I like how it's not random. I like memorizing it. And perhaps that is the only thing that I could say about hardcore difficulty. It does have its own kind of specialized following and charm. And maybe I should reanalyze it. It's not that bad. It's just, I think it's just a lot of people just don't want to do that. Okay, so definitely equip your stasis in here because you're gonna need it. I should have severed that guy's leg. Do I? Okay, yeah, I severed his legs. You're gonna have just the standard lot here of these guys and the leapers. And it's a lockdown scenario. Kendra's trying to get the door open or something along those lines. You have to. There are a finite number of enemies. If you want to kill everybody, that's your deal. If you want to run when she says run to the door, you can. I actually came back down here once I had the power node, and I left 2 enemies down here. So when I came into this room, there was those 2 enemies and also the Regenerator moving around. The same way that the 2 dividers are in that cafeteria area where we acquired the key card. The same way they stay there. Some enemies will unspawn, but others in this game, they just stay in their little area, designated area. This part is hard because of the lurkers, definitely. And when you think they're all gone, there's another one right behind you. It would be more challenging, I think. What I would have liked to have done, level 1 suit, no damage, but with upgrades, just no buying different suits. However, I only have the level 3 suit. I think there's 5 suits that you can buy. I missed him. And I took a hit. Okay, so pretty soon Kendra should be telling us that the door is open. Here it is. And I think these guys will chase you into this room. Yep, there he comes. And where does the Regenerator go to? He might just stay in that room. Okay, so now we're gonna go back, and this area here where you suspect that there's gonna be a fight. Up until now there hasn't been, but there will be, so use some stasis here. You're gonna have the inhabitors focusing on these bodies. If you want, you can stand in the threshold and grab as many bodies as you want to, but that's kind of going overboard if you want to. What I also was going to do, and I'll tell you why I didn't do this, but when you start this chapter, I put every body that was in this room into the subway area, like next to the train, saved my progress, went along with my business, because I knew there was a fight here, and if I can move all the bodies, then the infectors, they wouldn't have any bodies to inhabit. But the thing is, this area here, the bodies repopulate even if you move them somewhere else and save it. Okay, now we're going up this. We're gonna go in here. I think this game is just one of a kind, and I know that seems like kind of a heartless, well, not heartless, but just an unimaginative platitude that I just uttered right there. But it really does feel like the quality assurance for this game was just astronomically high. So Dr. Klein, or Kleinberg, is an ally. So I think we're going to be going into that room. You see there's a health pack over there, but I've always loved the Dead Space games. I've played them in order when I first saw them. They were already a couple of years old when I first played them. At least the first game. The second game was coming out when I was still experiencing the first game and playing it. But it's a game that definitely doesn't patronize the player while you're doing things. But for me, it sometimes does roll out the red carpet, and it just feels like the challenge level is just interesting. Like this enemy here, we've never had 4 pregnants, so it's one of those situations where be very precise with your shooting, or otherwise you're going to have to deal with a whole host of insects coming out of their bodies. And I mean, just look at the enemy. The skull on it, the chicken legs of it, the fat belly. This game is it's so creative, and I think that's a lot of the appeal of it. And the things that it lets you do and explore and feel. That's why I even gave Dead Space Extraction a play. I did a playthrough on my other channel on one of the harder difficulties, I believe. Okay, so let's save our progress. Okay, now we're on to the final encounter of the chapter, except one that will follow at the very end, and it's very brief. So we're going to go into the tram, and I really haven't been criticizing the fact that you have to hold down the left bumper to run in this game. But it's only because it's a different type of controller. Now, if you don't see the problem about this first section here, you see the twitcher coming out of the vent on the ground. The Regenerator is coming. What happened is I came over here too quickly, and I think the tripwire point is in the middle of the room, but it doesn't. The tripwire point doesn't occur and manifest as much as something invisible can manifest until a couple seconds after you press the switch in this room. So that's what happens. So usually you'll have less time to use the stasis. So what you do is you sever the legs of the Regenerator, and if you have to use the stasis from your inventory, apply the stasis, and then take care of this guy here. There's going to be a lot of, I think, half of a dozen twitchers, and then the Regenerator. So what is going on here is this: there's going to be a bunch of them coming up from that vent, and to get into this room, they don't use the door, obviously. They come in from vent to vent. So there's no venting into this location, so I've used this in the past, and it works very well. The twitcher is an odd enemy, to be sure. I don't hate it, and but I do think it's very creative. So I really like in Dead Space 2 the melee, how you can upgrade the melee and have things that you're throwing have more efficacy. Very, very handy. I mean, I might play Dead Space in the future. I don't have it on the PC yet. This Twitcher is actually, he can't get in quite yet because of the one in front of him. And the Regenerator will be coming because there's too many of these guys to allow him to just roam free wherever he's going. But he is coming. He is. Wait, that's him, isn't it? I'm so blind. Jesus H Christ, that's him right there. I'm sorry about that, but the thing is, I keep going to the door of this train. Because I just want to see where the Twitchers are, but see how fast they can get to you. And it's just a great place to stand. Great place. So if you don't always have to use stasis in this game. Part of me is just so conditioned to using it. But I think at this point I had no more Twitchers left, but this guy's still left, and I can't get past him because he's just completely blocking it. So what I'm gonna have to do is just let him crawl over to me, unless there is another Twitcher that I wasn't aware of, and if so, or yeah, there he is. He's coming. This should be the last one, and I don't think they give you any hints about what you're supposed to do here. It's of the same nature of a conceit as we had when we were freezing this guy in the cryogenic tank many chapters back, in that particular room that had him and some lurkers in it. So basically, you got to think, what are you supposed to do? Because the only way that we could take care of this guy is to use environmental hazards and traps of torture. Not that those are traps of torture, but it's another Castlevania reference. And this year was, last year, excuse me, was a horrible year for gaming. And I honestly think, and I'm not joking, I'm not trying to troll anybody, I do think that even though it didn't live up to my expectations, and I know you all know what I'm going to say next. It didn't live up to my expectations. It wasn't as good as the original by any means. But I do think that Lords of Shadow 2 was the game of the year for me. And that's really sad because it's a good game, but it's not a good Castlevania game. Just the way Dead Space 3 is of the same kind of nature. So just get this guy in the metal grating, freeze him. You don't have to over-freeze him by using too much stasis. One blast will do it, unless you don't have the duration of it up very high. Then you'll have to do a couple of blasts on him. But isn't it pretty sad that game was Game of the Year? I mean, I predicted it, and it's not like it is the definitive Game of the Year because it's just an opinion. But what else came? Like the best... I think I might have... Was I playing... I might have been playing Metal Gear Rising. I think Metal Gear Rising was the best game that I played in 2014. But obviously it came out in 2013. So my Game of the Year, Lords of Shadow 2, Castlevania Lords of Shadow 2, that's the best game of the year for me. But the best game that I played that year was Metal Gear Rising. And even if it was a December game, maybe I played it in December, I'm not sure. But I mean, what else came out? I can't remember anything coming out that was any good. So we're heading back the way we came before. And I'm trying to think what game actually did come out that might even... They were just so unremarkable of releases. Anyway, when you open this door, the Infector, I always say that wrong, the Infector is going to be raping this course right here. And that's a lot. Usually they do that. They have like one final battle, even if it's like two guys. So feel free to shop. Feel free to unload some of your inventory to clear up space. Visit the bench if you so desire. Go have a cup of tea with the dividers downstairs in the cafeteria. and we're gonna leave this place. Good artwork on the walls too. Take care.